Hello. About 4 weeks out from meeting this baby, hopefully 4 weeks. And my periods of comfort and kind of predictable moments of feeling well enough to have the energy to share practice have been less and less. So I figured I would record a little 20-minute or so movement to share in a pocket of feeling like, okay, I have it in me. So find a comfortable seat. We'll be using a blanket and a couple of blocks. Feel free to have a strap, a bolster as well. And then set yourself up in a comfortable seat, maybe up on your blanket, up on your blocks or your bolster. You can close your eyes or set your gaze downward at one spot. And bring your hands down to your waist, so your fingers are looping around towards the front of your belly. Thumbs are around your back bottom ribs. And we'll start to lengthen out the breath, letting it move in all directions, filling up belly, feeling your thumbs move back as your breath fills low back. And also feeling the breath broaden your lower abdomen out to the sides. So on your inhales, you're feeling that expansion all the way around. And on your exhales, could you imagine your breath drawing up and out from the pelvis, really all the way up the length of your spine and out through the crown of your head? So on the exhale, your diaphragm presses upward to empty out the lungs and takes your pelvic floor along for the ride. So you might imagine the 4 bones of your pelvic floor, your pubic bone and tailbone, and your 2 sit bones kind of drawing in towards each other, and then a slight lift up from the place where they would meet. Maybe setting an intention or a dedication for your practice. And you can float the eyes open, interlace the hands at the lower back. We'll take those interlaced hands over to the left hip, and bring left ear to left shoulder. Let your jaw soften towards the ground, especially the right side of your jaw, right up where it meets your ear. And you can play around with chin moving a little more towards the chest or more towards the ceiling, and how that changes the sensation in the side of the neck. Feeling those connections down through shoulder, through chest, through upper back. You can release that right hand and just reach it out to the right. Feeling the fingertips reaching as far out as they can, maybe a little bit of a sway forward and backward. And then a little stop sign with your hand, press out through the heel of the hand. Dragging all that tissue with the heel of the hand out from armpit, shoulder, chest, jaw maybe. And then one at a time, bringing the fingertips down into a closed fist. Turning that fist down towards the ground and pressing out through the top of the wrist. And maybe a little sway forward and backward. So this is nice for all the time that we spend holding the phone, computer, holding on too tight to anything else. Give it a little wiggle, shake it out, and roll that shoulder out. And then we'll do the other side. Interlace the hands. You can do it the weird way, the uncommon grip for you. And then bring right ear to right shoulder. So you're sitting up tall. You can feel your sit bones pushing the floor away. Your chin, getting a little exploration here. Really soft through the expression on your face, the jaw, the lips, the teeth. And then we'll release that left hand, reach it out. Let it sway forward and backward. And make a stop sign with the hand, press out through the heel of the hand. And give that a couple little pulses, feeling the glide to the nerves. And then wrapping the fingers down, making a fist, turn that fist down, press out through the top of the wrist. And then we'll shake it out, roll out that shoulder. And we'll take a couple of seated cat-cows. So on the inhale, you're gonna drop that pubic bone forward and down, tip the pelvis forward, open up the whole front side of the body. And on your exhale, find the flexion, closing the front, opening the back. You can imagine your tailbone kind of scooping underneath you. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, take it into some circles with the hips. And then come back to center. You can stay here. You can have your left shin in front, or you can take that left foot up onto your right thigh. The bottom foot can be stacked under the top knee, or if your hips are not as open right now, like me, you could have the bottom foot in a little closer to the pelvis. So left foot up, take your left arm up, and we'll, take your right arm up, and we'll take it into a little side bend. Maintaining the space that you created around that left shoulder. Feeling your right sit bone pressing down, nice and heavy. And you can play around with opening this up a little bit more or closing it. Follow your next exhale to the bottom of the breath, and then let your inhale pull you back up. And we'll change the cross of the legs. So either right shin in front or right foot up top. You can always support this top knee as well. Kind of filling in the space with blankets or blocks or pillows. Let's take the left arm up. And we'll come into the side bend. Playing around with opening that space or closing it off a bit. And with your next inhale, pull yourself back up to a seat. And we'll unwind the legs, extend them out. Point and flex through the heels, or through the ankles rather. And then we'll come up into a tabletop. If the knees are sensitive, you can use your blanket. Everything is sensitive for me right now. Fingers spread wide, rooting down through all your knuckles. Let's just take some circles. Kind of trying to keep the spine parallel to the floor, but just circling the hips, letting that circle the wrists. Giving those wrists a little stretch out. You could turn them to the side and continue this action. Maybe changing directions. You could turn the fingertips back towards you any amount. And again, same thing. Tuck the toes under, sit back on the heels. This feels like too much. You can also put a layer in between the heels and the seat and be sitting with a bolster in between or folded blanket. Connect the heels of the hands together. And we'll just take some circles with the wrists. So keeping the wrists together as best you can, moving the hands in circles. And the next time the fingertips point down, keep them down. Connect the tops of the hands together and we'll press down through the elbows. And then release. So here we're going to tuck the right foot sideways. We're going to, so from tabletop position, knees parallel, you're going to turn the right foot in so that the right lower leg is tucked right up into the back of the left knee. If this doesn't feel okay on your right knee, you can always use a block for this or a rolled up blanket. And then we're just going to kind of sit back, bring the hips back towards the left heel. You can pulse it a couple times. So your right lower leg is giving that left back of knee, upper calf, lower hamstring, a little bit of a massage. You might stay, sway the hips a little bit from side to side, and then continue to move your right leg down your left leg towards the foot. So you can kind of drag it down or move it down a little bit at a time. Finding a new place to put a little pressure with that right lower leg. And so you just can kind of pulse it back. You can find stillness and breathe. So again, you could replace your right leg with a rolled up blanket or a block, or else you're using the lower leg to put some pressure in that left lower leg. And you can continue to drag it down towards the Achilles. Sway. If you find a part of the back of that leg that feels really tender or like it needs a little bit of focused attention, you can just stay still. Send some breath there. Or else continue to move that right leg down until you're right above the heel, the back of that left ankle. And then we'll tuck the right foot just on top of the left. And we'll sit back, letting the top of that right foot press down into the ball of your left foot. And then back to tabletop, and we'll do the other side. So if you need to kind of straighten out that left leg, maybe press back through the heel a few times. And then we'll take that left leg, cross it over behind the right knee, and again, sit back. If the floor feels too far away, you can always use your blocks here. You can continue to drag that left leg down the right. Exploring with pulses, shifts from side to side, stillness. What is your body asking for in this moment? Ten or so more breaths to make your way down to that right ankle. So for some of you, this might feel like a really nice massage. And for some of you, this might feel like holy, very intense, uncomfortable. And so with yoga, we're working to cultivate this well of calm inside of ourselves, regardless of how the experience is kind of showing up for you. So we're going to take that left foot right on top of the right foot, right in the ball of that right foot, and then sit back. So whether it's like, oh, this feels really nice, or wow, this is a lot, we're keeping a steady breath. We're able to hold on to the truth that everything is temporary, the good and the bad. So we don't get totally rocked from our center. And taking a look at this through the lens of sensations in the back of the leg is a relatively safe place to practice. All right, so you can come off of that. Blocks to the sides. I'm going to tuck the toes, plant the hands, and press up into a downward facing dog with the heels lifted and the knees bent. Rooting down through all the knuckles, ears between the arms. And then you're going to use your next 10 breaths or so, feeling the sit bones pull you up and back. Use the next 10 breaths or so to start to straighten the legs and or lower the heels. But let that be a slow journey. Hands and feet are pushing the floor away. So feet pushing the floor away even as the heels start to lower. So you're getting that lift of energy right up through the legs, right up through the hips. And then you can release the knees down. Step your right foot in between your hands. Always use blocks here if the floor needs to be closer. Hips can move forward and down any amount as you push down through the floor and lift and open the chest. Inhale. Exhale, hips lift up and back, working towards straightening that right leg. I'm going to do that a couple more times. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. This time as you exhale, tuck the back toes. Work towards straightening that right leg. And we'll come into pyramid prep. So hips lifting up and back like downward facing dog. Left heel slowly lowering. And that right leg is pushing the floor away to keep that right leg growing longer. You can feel your spine growing the other direction. Heart, crown of head reach forward, maybe fold down a little more. And then exhale, we'll rebend that right knee. Bring the left knee down. And we'll find a little side bend over to the right. Hands can come down. You can step back into a plank if you'd like. Maybe back into tabletop. And we'll come into downward facing dog. Maybe you make it a slow process of lowering the heels again, one breath at a time. And then we'll bring the knees down. Step the left foot in between the hands. Bend that front knee a little more. Maybe bring the hips forward and down. Inhale, let's open up the front of the body. Exhale, we'll work that left leg towards straight, any amount. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, open up, tuck the back toes under, straighten the back leg, exhale, pyramid prep. Or your spine nice and long, parallel to the floor. Maybe fold it down. And then we'll rebend the knees. Lift the torso up. Take a little side bend over to the left. Inhale back up. Hands come down. You can step back into a plank if you'd like. Maybe lower all the way down onto your belly and lift up into cobra, baby cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then we'll release the knees down. Bring the knees together. Take the feet out a little wider. And we're just going to shift the hips left and right. Hips in line with the knees. Back to center, knees under hips. We're going to step the right leg out to the right. Heel planted, parallel with that left knee. And then just sink the hips back a bit. You can take this in some pulsing. Opening up through the inseam of that right leg. To the left side. Left leg steps out. Get a little different sensation depending on the angle of my right shin. So you can kind of play around with that too if you'd like. Together. And we're going gonna set up for a little supported back bend as we get ready to kind of close this out here. 20 minutes turned into 30 pretty quickly. So we'll have one block on the higher height, one on the lower. Feel free to lay a bolster over all of that, or a blanket. I'm kind of enjoying the solid sensations of the blocks as support. So you'll lie back with the lower block right below the shoulder blades, the bottom tips of the shoulder blades, just above the block, and then block under your head. This can all be higher with the bolster, more blocks, more blankets. So get as supported as you need. I like to take a few breaths with my knees bent just to settle in. And then from there, if you prefer legs extended or Baddha Konasana legs, feet together, knees wide, you can choose one of those. And you let all the weight of your bones drop down. Especially the tops of your thigh bones right at the crease of the hips. The upper arm bones, the shoulder blades, the weight of the skull. Can you imagine softening all of the muscle and the tissue so they just drape over those heavy bones? Rebend the knees, or bring the feet back to the floor if they're not there already. And you can transition into Shavasana from here, just taking the height of the blocks out from behind you. You could also transition into a seated meditation, which is where I'm going to go. So just finding a comfortable place where you can observe how the practice has or hasn't maybe, shifted your mental space. And then wherever you are, take a long breath in through your nose. And exhale through your mouth. Pressing up to a seat if you're not there already. You can bring a hand to the heart. Maybe both hands in prayer. And we'll close out our practice with one Om. Thank you for joining me. So all of my practices up on YouTube are all free. If you'd like to join me in donating to Choose Love, that would be wonderful. Or another organization that that you feel strongly about. Thank you so much.